Every year, several million Muslims travel to Mecca to perform the Hajj and pray during the holiday of Kurban Bayram in one of the most expensive buildings in the world, the Al-Haram Mosque. Hundreds of thousands of people gather around the Kaaba to perform the Eid prayer next to the black stone, Allahu Akbar. They loudly recite together the words of the festive takbir. We will briefly tell the story of Islam, explain the main concepts, traditions, and laws, and mention historical figures. And please, subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. So, in this episode, we'll talk about how Islam and the Quran came to be. Who are Sunnis and Shiites? Which direction do Muslims actually face during prayer? And why is Mecca such an important city? Islam is the second most widespread religion in the world after Christianity. The number of Muslims, that is, followers of Islam, is estimated to be up to 1,800,000,000 people. The history of Islam began on the Arabian Peninsula in the first half of the first millennium AD. There lived pagans, Jews, and Christians. In fact, those pagans were the Arabs. They worshipped ancestral spirits and numerous gods. The most influential of these deities was Allah, which translates from Arabic as God, and in some places his name was pronounced as Ar-Rahman, meaning the merciful. But the small Christian and Jewish communities on the peninsula practiced monotheism. In these Abrahamic religions, that is, those based on the teachings of the prophet Abraham, there was veneration of many religious figures, including Adam, Moses, and for Christians, separately Jesus. The immediate predecessor of Islam on the Arabian Peninsula was the Arabian monotheistic religion of Hanifism, which arose under the influence of Judaism and Christianity. But everything was changed by one man named Muhammad. He was born in the city of Mecca around the year 570. When Muhammad turned 40, he declared that Gabriel appeared to him. This archangel is known in Christianity as Gabriel and brought the message that Muhammad is a prophet of God. From the year 613, Muhammad began to publicly preach his revelation. He claimed that God is one and that the right way of life is submission, which in Arabic is Islam. Before Muhammad, there were thousands of prophets, including Nuh, Ibrahim, Musa, Suleiman, and Isa, known in Christianity as Noah, Abraham, Moses, Solomon, and Jesus, respectively. But Muhammad is the last prophet and messenger of Allah. By the way, Ar-Rahman is, as it has since come to be considered, one of the 99 names of Allah. Yes, previous prophets spread the right ideas, but from the Islamic perspective, the teachings of Judaism and Christianity were distorted by people and therefore lost their relevance. The Quran, however, is a different matter. To create it, for 23 years the Archangel Jibril conveyed Allah's words to Muhammad. Muhammad actively preached, and when he spoke on behalf of Allah, he used rhyme prose, which at that time was the traditional language of Arab oracles. Muhammad himself could neither read nor write, so he ordered a scribe to record these sayings, which eventually became the Quran. It is claimed that the Quran is the last holy scripture, which will not undergo any changes. Muhammad gradually gained followers in Mecca, but these people and the Prophet himself began to be persecuted by the local pagans. Eventually, Muhammad and his close companions moved to the city of Medina. It took Muhammad 8 years to gather an army of 10,000 newly converted Muslims, and, leading this force, return to Mecca and conquer it. By the end of his life, the Prophet and military leader Muhammad had formulated the 5 main religious duties, the 5 pillars of Islam. The first article of faith is called the Shahada. It goes like this: there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. Saying this is enough to accept Islam. The second is prayer or namaz. During namaz, as a sign of joy, people say the Arabic phrase, Allahu Akbar, which means, Allah is great. This phrase is called the takbir. It is written on the flags of several countries. The third pillar of Islam is song, fasting during the month of Ramadan. The fourth is almsgiving, or zakat, which is a donation amounting to 1/40th of one's income. And finally, the pilgrimage to Mecca, which is called Hajj. Every Muslim who is physically and financially able must perform the Hajj at least once in their lifetime. Some theologians add another duty to the 5 pillars of Islam, Jihad, which means zeal and diligence in spreading Islam. Muhammad himself, as a military leader, was a vivid example of such zeal. He led campaigns against several tribes of Arabia. In 628, he laid siege to and captured the Jewish fortress of Khaybar to prevent the Jews from joining forces with the pagans against the Muslims. By the time of his death in 632, Muhammad had united most of the Arabian Peninsula under his leadership. The unified state was called the Rashidun Caliphate. It was an Islamic monarchy led by a caliph, who was considered the successor of the Prophet Muhammad. During the brief existence of this state, several very important events took place. One of them was the compilation of the Quran based on written records and oral testimonies. The Quran contains 114 chapters, which are called surahs. The surahs are divided into ayahs, that is, verses. Another source of Muslim laws and rules is the Sunnah. These are sacred traditions about the sayings and actions of Muhammad. The Quran and the Sunnah contain the key concepts of Islam. Sharia is the body of religious laws for Muslims. These include concepts such as halal, permitted things and actions, and haram, which are forbidden things and deeds. The latter includes the well-known Muslim taboos against consuming pork and alcohol. To find out why and how dietary restrictions work in different religions, watch the video on our channel. The link is in the description. Just 24 years after Muhammad's death, a conflict broke out among Muslims that continues to this day. It all started with a dispute over who should be the caliph. Part of the community believed that caliphs should be elected, while others insisted that only the descendants of Imam Ali, Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law, had the right to the throne. As a result of the civil war, Caliph Ali was killed, and Muslims split into two branches: Sunnis, whose name comes from the word Sunnah, and Shias, meaning the followers. This refers to the followers of Ali. Later, the differences between Sunnis and Shias became broader, primarily due to different customs and interpretations of Sharia. One of the main differences between the ideologies of the two branches is that Shias consider imams to be intermediaries between Allah and the believers, while Sunnis do not regard imams with such excessive reverence. In addition to the Quran and the Sunnah, Shias recognize the words of Imam Ali and his 11 successors as religious rules. Currently, Shias make up the majority of the population in Iran, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, and Iraq. Significant Shia communities also exist in Pakistan, India, Turkey, and Yemen, but overall, Shias are a minority, making up about 15% of all Muslims. Sunnis make up about 85% in Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, Jordan, Senegal, Uzbekistan, Egypt, Indonesia, Tajikistan, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, the United Arab Emirates, Syria, and Turkey. Sunnis make up more than 3/4 of the population. There are also large Sunni communities numbering in the millions in India, Bangladesh, Nigeria, and Sudan. Throughout history, there have been many conflicts between Sunnis and Shiites. In our time, influential Muslim countries such as Sunni Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Shia Iran use this ancient division to pursue their own political goals. Terrorist organizations, such as the Sunni groups Al-Qaeda, Hamas, and the Islamic State, formerly known as ISIS, as well as the Shia group Hezbollah, also try to play the card of intersectarian conflict. The dictator of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, and his Shia entourage are trying to subjugate the Sunni majority in Syria. But let's go back to the Middle Ages. After the fall of the Rashidun Caliphate, the Umayyad Caliphate arose with its capital in Damascus. As a result of its conquests, it became a vast state covering more than 11 million square kilometers, and with a population of 33 million people. Muslims conquered parts of Central Asia, the South Caucasus and modern-day Pakistan, North Africa, and even the Iberian Peninsula. The struggle of Christians against Muslims on the territory of present-day Spain and Portugal was called the Reconquista. It lasted all the way until the end of the 15th century. Already during the time of the Umayyad Caliphate, Islamic taxation was actively used, which encouraged conversion to Islam in the conquered lands, since Muslims paid lower taxes than others. As a result of the uprising in the Umayyad Caliphate, the Abbasid dynasty came to power. Accordingly, the caliphate began to be called the Abbasid Caliphate. It is also known as the Baghdad Caliphate, since the capital of the state was located in Baghdad for most of the time. The era of the Abbasid Caliphate is considered the golden age of Islam. Muslims of this period made a significant contribution to world culture and science. Al-Khwarizmi was a great mathematician, astronomer, and geographer. The word algebra comes from the title of his work, and the word algorithm comes from his name. Ibn Sina, known in Europe as Avicenna, was a philosopher and the father of early modern medicine. His work, The Canon of Medicine, was the main textbook for studying medicine in many medieval universities. Omar Khayyam was not only a poet, but also an astronomer and mathematician. Interestingly, researchers are still debating the true meaning of his poems. The philosopher Ibn Rushd, known in Europe as Averroes, contributed to preserving ancient heritage and interpreting Aristotle's works, and also conducted research on Parkinson's disease. And these are just a few of the outstanding researchers, scientists, and artists' achievements in philosophy and medicine, mathematics and physics, chemistry and biology, the invention of such astronomical and navigational instruments as the astrolabe, Arabic numerals, the construction of the first observatories. All these are accomplishments of Islamic science during the Golden Age. The Abbasid Caliphate engaged in active trade and cultural exchange. In the 13th century, Arab merchants and missionaries reached the Malay archipelago, explaining the teachings of Islam to the local population. As a result, modern Indonesia is one of the largest Muslim countries. The last, fourth great caliphate is sometimes considered to be the Ottoman Empire, whose sultans called themselves caliphs from 1517 until the establishment of the Turkish Republic. During the Ottoman Wars in Europe, the Muslims managed to capture the Balkan Peninsula. Later, the local peoples gained independence and built their own states. But Islam remained in the Balkans. About 40% of the population of Bosnia and Herzegovina, 60% of Albanians, and almost the entire population of Kosovo practice Islam. Besides the great caliphates, there were also other Muslim states whose rulers called themselves caliphs, the Fatimid, Cordoba, Almohad caliphates, and even the Sokoto Caliphate in Central Africa. In our time, terrorists from the so-called Islamic State are trying to create a so-called world caliphate under the guise of Islamic ideas. There are several holy cities in Islam. These include Medina, where Muhammad died and was buried. Muhammad, accompanied by the Archangel Jibril, made a miraculous journey to Jerusalem. There, the Prophet's ascension to the heavens took place. In Hebron, there is the Cave of the Patriarchs, which Muslims call Haram al-Ibrahimi, the burial place of Ibrahim. And Najaf is a holy city for Shia Muslims, as it is where the tomb of the first Imam, Ali, is located. But the most sacred city for Muslims is Mecca, where Muhammad was born. It is to Mecca that Muslims perform the Hajj. This is where the Al-Haram Mosque, or the Sacred Mosque, is located, the main and largest shrine in Islam. The construction of the mosque began as early as the 7th century AD. Since then, it has undergone numerous reconstructions and renovations. In its current form, the Sacred Mosque was completed and expanded in 2021 at the request of the Saudi Arabian government. The mosque's capacity increased to more than 2.5 million worshippers. The cost of the work is estimated at over $10 billion, but there are no exact figures. At the very center of the Al-Haram Mosque stands the famous Kaaba, a black stone structure that was considered sacred even in pre-Islamic times. Who built the Kaaba and when exactly it was built is not known for certain. According to Islamic tradition, the construction of the Kaaba is attributed to Ibrahim, who lived 2,000 years before our era. By the way, many people think that Muslims face east when they pray, but that's not true. In reality, they are supposed to face the direction of the Kaaba, and for this purpose, there are even special websites and apps developed. In one of the corners of the Kaaba, the Al-Hajar al-Aswad, the black stone, is embedded. According to Islamic beliefs, it dates back to the time of Adam and Eve and marks the place where the first temple was built. This relic has never been analyzed using modern scientific methods because of its religious significance. That's why the origin of the stone remains a subject of debate and speculation to this day. Over the course of history, the once monolithic black stone has changed from its original form. Today, it consists of several pieces. The fact is, there have been multiple attempts to damage and desecrate it. Partly because of this, it is now preserved cemented in a silver casing. More than 1,500 years ago, Muhammad changed the course of history. The religion he founded has now become a universal, international faith. having absorbed important tenets of social development from Judaism and Christianity. Islam formulated its own rules, which remain relevant today and attract hundreds of millions of people. Political, economic, and social processes across the entire planet are, in one way or another, influenced by Islam, a religion that has become a phenomenon. We fully understand that it is impossible to cover all the important events in the history of Islam in a short video. Fortunately, there is a wonderful tool, the comment section under the video, and we warmly invite you to add to our work with facts from the history of Islam that you consider remarkable.